Does a little bit of Italy, Croatia, and Turkey sound like a plan for your next Mediterranean cruise? Today, we're talking about one of the most intriguing itineraries for 2025 and 2026, the Gems of the Adriatic and Aegean with Azamara. Welcome to RTE Travel Talk, Ask a Real Travel Expert, the show that talks to travel professionals around the world. Joining me today is Anne-Marie Gaudet of Cruise Holiday Select, and she has just recently returned from this sailing. If you enjoy the journey with us today, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if this video's got you inspired, give it a thumbs up or drop a comment and join the conversation. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for being part of our travel community, whether you're a longtime fan or just dropping by. We really appreciate it. And now, on with the show. Hi, Anne-Marie. Welcome back to RTE Travel Talk.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for having me again.
It's great to have you with us, Anne-Marie, and I'm really excited to talk to you today because I know you've just recently returned from the Gems of the Aegean with Azamara. Now, I have two reasons wanting to talk to you because we're heading over that way next year, hopefully. So I want to learn all about that, and I want to find out more about Azamara. So how does that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Great. So why don't we get started, Anne-Marie? Why don't you give us like a 30,000 foot level look at just exactly who Azamara is and where they fit into the scheme of things?
Okay. So Azamara started about 2002. Mm-hmm. At one point, they were owned by Celebrity, but now they're out on their own. And they are smaller ships. They're so intimate. The staff, amazing. Azamara's main goal is immersion of where you're going to be. So a lot of times they have overnights. They have what's called an Azamazing Evening, which is a private event that they organize shoreside, depending on where you are. Ours was when we were in Slovenia, and the town's square at nighttime, they built up a stage and local artists put on a folk show for us. It was amazing. And it really is an Azamazing Evening. So that's where Azamara fits in. They're not full luxury, but they're not mass market either. So there's kind of in between. But if you really want immersion in where you're going, Azamara is the cruise line for you, for sure.
So in the whole scheme of things, where do they fit in when you compare them to like an Oceania or Viking or even a Windstar?
I would say they're probably on even keel with Oceania.
Okay.
Some of Oceania's ships are the exact same ships as Azamara, because what happened in the early 2000s, there was another cruise line that had 8 identical ships. Yeah. And after September 11th, they went bankrupt. So Oceania bought 4 and Azamara bought 2.
Right.
So they have been renovated and refurbished and things like that. So I would say it's on a level of Oceania, and this is just my personal opinion as a travel agent. I think that customer service for Azamara is a step above Oceania.
Okay.
Azamara staff were amazing. I mean, the first day they knew my name. Sometimes I felt like I had to go ask them what my name was because they remembered it better than I did.
When it comes to the overall experience, that's what makes it, because if you feel at home when the staff are engaged with you, that just adds to the experience.
It really does. And I mean, they do have, the food was amazing. Yeah. And then one night on board the cruise, they have their white night party. And you don't have to wear white. Most people wore some sort of white. Yeah. And it's up on deck if they can have it up on deck if the weather's nice. Well, this time we were in Santorini. So we had Santorini in the background and the music, the food. I mean, we partied. It was so much fun. Yeah. And that's something that's exclusive to Azamara too, is their white night party. And it was so much fun. It really was.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that we get asked a lot about is what's included. Is Azamara all-inclusive, or maybe perhaps more all-inclusive than most, or there's still a few a la carte items that come with the cruise? How does that work?
Yeah, there's still some a la carte. So your liquor, beer, wine, soft drinks are included.
Okay.
I'm not much of a drinker now, but the wine that they served I'm very fussy about my wine, and it was good. But if you like fancy drinks, things like that, definitely you're going to want to upgrade to what they call their premium package. Okay. My daughter did that. And the one thing I like about Azamara that the other cruise lines don't do is she was able to upgrade the package, and I wasn't forced to. A lot of the cruise lines, both people have to upgrade. I was very thankful I didn't have to do that because I would not have gotten my money's worth. They also have 2 specialty restaurants that you do have to pay extra for. Right. But other than that, like honestly, I did not feel like I was missing out on anything. Our cabin steward continually kept our cabin well stacked.
Yeah.
And he said, any soft drinks you want, let me know and I will put them in the fridge too. So they don't skimp. So it's not fully all inclusive,
but pretty close.
from,
But pretty
yes,
close.
yes.
So let's circle back to what you just said there, because that's really interesting. Like, if I understood you correctly, they include beer, wine, drinks, but it's just kind of like a basic selection. But you
Yeah.
can upgrade your package, which you
Yes.
did. But
Yeah.
because there's two of you in the room, normally with other cruise lines, if you're going to upgrade a package, it has to apply to both guests. Did you just tell me that you were able to just upgrade for yourself?
No, I didn't upgrade. My daughter did. So
Okay.
just
But just
Ashley,
her.
my daughter, who was with me,
Yeah.
she upgraded hers, but I didn't. It was nice that she was able, because she likes the finer
Well,
drinks.
exactly. And a
And
lot of couples would be like that, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And
So
yeah,
that's a great advantage.
it truly is. And I mean, I can understand the big cruise lines why they do what
Yeah.
they do, because obviously one person would buy and then both would share.
Yeah.
Not always, sometimes. But with Azamara, they're small enough that it didn't matter. So she was just able to upgrade, and I was just happy with what I had. So it was good.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, let's jump into the fun part, the itinerary itself. The cruise was
Yes.
called the Gems of the Adriatic and Aegean. The name alone suggests something special. So can you give us a big picture overview of the route?
It was a great itinerary.
Mm-hmm.
We started off in Venice.
Yeah.
So we flew into Venice early. My daughter had never been. A, you get over jet lag, and B, she got to see Venice.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times in the city you start in,
Yeah.
you don't really get to see that city. Now, with Azamara, as I said, they have a lot of overnights. So we did actually overnight. But the problem with Venice is the city of Venice proper aren't allowing cruise ships in their port
Correct.
anymore.
Yeah.
So the ships have to port a little bit farther away. It was a little bit more difficult getting back into Venice. So I'm glad we went in early and enjoyed. And then the day we got on the ship, we were able to enjoy the ship. So, but a lot of people did go back into Venice. So we had that. And then we went to Slovenia, which that's where the Azamazing Evening was. Very small place, but beautiful. What they put on that evening, the concert was just amazing.
Yeah.
I will mention though, in Slovenia, my friends, they did a bike tour
Right.
and they raved about it. They said
Really?
it was absolutely beautiful. So
Yeah.
we didn't have any tours planned that day. We just kind of got off and walked around, but they raved about the bike tour that they were on. The next day we went to Zadar,
Oh.
Croatia, Zadar. I must admit, when I booked this, I really didn't pay attention. I know Croatia is beautiful. I've been to Dubrovnik several times. I didn't pay much attention to Zadar. And what a surprise.
Really?
Loved Zadar. The other thing about being on a small ship is a lot of times they can dock close to town.
Right.
So when you get off the ship, we just walked a little bit, and in Zadar they have these water windpipes that are built into steps that as the water comes in,
Right.
it makes music. I could have stood there for hours just listening to the different tones. And it was a really cool thing to watch and to listen to. We just walked a little bit further and you're in town, an old town, but just walking around and seeing the ruins and the history that's there. I was honestly very happily surprised at Zadar. And then the next day we were in Dubrovnik.
Right.
And Dubrovnik.
Well, that's a fan favorite.
It
You
is
hear lots of great
one of
things about Dubrovnik. Yeah.
it's one of the prettiest cities. I remember many years, about 20 years ago, being on a Windstar and talking to the captain and, talking about where he'd been in the world. And, I said to him, where's the prettiest place you've ever been? And he said, Dubrovnik. He didn't even have to think about it. I was a host of a distinctive voyage, which is something that is offered by our host agency.
Right.
And it doesn't cost them any extra. They also get a free shore excursion. So our shore excursion was in Dubrovnik. So we had a tour of Dubrovnik, which was amazing. And then we actually got on a bus and went to a winery, which who thinks of Croatia for wine? But it was quite good wine. Then we went to a little town called Savat.
Right.
And it's kind of like a little town that you would think on the French Riviera because it's right on the water. You can walk along the water, and that was really nice. Once again, Dubrovnik did not disappoint at all. So the next day we were in Corfu, which was really interesting. We had a private tour. There was 8 of us, and we had 2 vans, so lots of room.
Right.
And it was so nice to to see the interior of this island instead of just going along the coast.
I bet.
We went right in. And you may not know this, but Corfu is actually known for kumquats.
Really?
Yes, yeah. So we stopped in a little distillery
Yeah.
where they make a kumquat liqueur, and they had kumquat candies and things like that, which was very interesting. Something I didn't know. Then we went up to the monastery, and then ended up in Old Town, and it was so interesting to hear about the history and see why things are set up the way they are. Our guide was very interesting, so it was a very interesting tour. The next day we were in Argostoli, and I must admit, we didn't get off the ship. It's only a short stop in Argostoli,
Okay.
and there's not much to do.
Okay.
They have beautiful beaches, and we were supposed to go to the beach, but because of logistics, that tour got canceled. I don't have much to report on that because I think most people stayed on board. I think we were only there for 4 hours. We kind of took that day as our relaxing day.
Quick pause, folks. Don't worry. I'm not long-winded. I just want to share our brand new channel memberships. For just $1.99 and up a month, you'll get fun perks like badges, early video access, travel webinars, and even travel opportunities with some of our experts. It's a great way to be part of our travel community while getting a little extra along the way. Just hit the join button below for more details. And now, back to our show. So just before we move on, did you notice kind of like a vibe shift from Croatia to Greece in the stops?
Not really.
Yeah.
The people are wonderful.
Yeah.
The food was good in Dubrovnik. The
Yeah.
food in Greece was outstanding.
Yeah.
The next island we went to, which was Crete,
Right.
Chania, you are actually tendered there.
Okay.
And actually, I forgot to mention, in Dubrovnik, you're tendered too. Every time I've been to Dubrovnik and Crete, we have docked. The problem is where they dock is quite far out of town. I was kind of disappointed that we were tendering. And then once I realized, like, the tenders drop you off right in town, it was so much better.
Really?
And
Wow. Yeah.
Chania we just walked around again, lots of great markets, and then the best gyro I've ever had, and Greek salad. We just stopped at a little restaurant, patios outside, and we could have shared it. Both we shared the salad, but my daughter and I could have shared the gyro because it was so huge. But it was so good. So good. But it's a great place to walk around. They have the big walkway that's right there on the ocean that you can walk along. I think that was our favorite island. I really do. We had such a great day there, and it was so relaxed. Like, we weren't rushed because we had lots of time and I'd go back in a heartbeat. And then after Chania, we had a day at sea.
Right.
So that was always nice because, you've got to pack and things like that.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. Our final stop was Istanbul, but we overnighted at Istanbul.
Okay.
So now I've got to tell you, Istanbul was the top of my bucket list.
Really?
This is actually why I chose this itinerary. Once again, had a private guide we had for 2 days. And I told him what was top priority for me and the group, and we saw it all. So he actually picked us up from the ship the first day, and he took us, the first thing we did was have a private yacht cruise on the Bosphorus. And it took us all over Istanbul. So we could see it from both sides, from the Europe side and the Asian side, and just get the history. It was a 2-hour cruise. I would start any tour in Istanbul that way because it gives you a nice layout of the city. And then after that, we went to, and I'm going to butcher it and I apologize, the Hagia Sophia, which is a mosque, but it used to be a church. It's been many things. Our guide pointed out, some symbols that were still there from Christianity. So it was a very interesting tour of Hagia Sophia. And then after that, we went to the Blue Mosque, which once again was amazing, beautiful. We had a good look around there. And then we went to a carpet factory after that. And I'm not going to lie, I did buy a carpet.
The bigger question is, how'd you get it home?
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah.
The Turkish government does not want the rug making art to die.
Yeah.
So they actually sponsor a lot of the carpet schools.
Right.
And then when you buy a carpet, they actually pay for shipping and ship it, and they pay the duty on it because they want the art, and they want people to buy their carpets and enjoy that artwork. Now, I splurged and got a silk handmade carpet. So it wasn't inexpensive.
I don't imagine.
But it is something that will be around forever. If you've never been to a carpet showroom, the way they do it is just like they twirl the carpets and then they come and land. It's quite fun to watch. And I had my apple tea, which is delicious too. And they look after you. And then our guide took us back to the ship. And then the next day, of course, we had to disembark. So he came and got us with a bigger van to bring our luggage with us. And we went to Topkapi Palace,
Right.
which is very interesting because for I think it was like 80 years, nobody lived there. And
Okay.
then the Turkish government decided to make it into a museum. So that was really interesting. And then we went over to the Asian side and had lunch. And I'll tell you, I'm not a lamb lover. I don't eat lamb, but we had these kebabs. And the way they made it was so good. It was really delicious. And it was nice to see the Asian side. It's not as crowded as the European side because it's not as old as the European side.
Right.
But the highlight for me, the highlight was the cisterns underneath the city because that's how they used to get their water in the olden days
Right.
because of course the Bosphorus is salt, right? It's a humongous cavern. I was a little bit worried because I had bad knees, and after walking on cobblestones for 2 days they were not happy because you have to go down 15 steps and then up, I think it was 58 steps. And I'm like, ugh, but I did it anyways. And I'm glad I did. The way they have it presented now, the lights change. It was honestly, I'm in awe. I don't have words to describe it. It was just amazing to see. And I'm so glad we did it. It was amazing. It really was truly a perfect cruise. It really was. It wasn't rush, 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 but the places we saw were dynamite. They really were.
Anne-Marie, you and I have known each other for a long time.
Yep.
And I can't recall sitting down and talking with you and to see you so excited and animated about a cruise. This is amazing. It gives you a taste of Italy, Croatia, Greece, and then Istanbul, and then Turkey.
Yeah, and Slovenia.
It's a really great itinerary.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. It was perfect.
The other question that came to mind while we were talking, you mentioned that you tendered in a couple of ports. What do you think this itinerary would be like for people with mobility challenges in that regard?
I mean, it is a little bit of a challenge, but I will tell you, they were so well organized, and they do have chairlifts. If you are in a wheelchair, they did have chairlifts, and then they help you in. And I must admit, like many, many, many years ago, when my mother was still alive, she was in a wheelchair, and it's amazing how they can get you into the tender and out of the tender.
So that's actually a thing that can be done. If somebody's in a wheelchair, they can work with you and they can still get you on shore.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And I mean, if you have a cane or a little bit of a walker, they're great. I mean, they don't rush anybody getting out on and off. Safety is most important. It was not an issue. I saw, a few people with canes and a few people with walkers, and they looked after them, and there was no issues at all.
Exactly. So you mentioned that you went in early to arrive in Venice. So you had a little extra time in Venice prior to departing.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, Venice is a city like no other in the world.
Right.
As a travel agent, it's not my favorite city because there's no cars in Venice and people want to stay near St. Mark's Square. I always suggest, and where we stayed was near the train station. It's a walk in to get to St. Mark's, but when you're walking in, you're not carrying your luggage. So when you're staying somewhere inside Venice, you see people hauling luggage up and down bridges because it's a city of canals.
Exactly.
So it's bridges. So we stayed just a little bit. We were still in Venice, but just a little bit on the outskirts near the train station. So when our transfer came, it was just a short walk to take our luggage. So, and then when we were going out, we didn't have to haul things with us. We could just walk, and go to where we wanted to walk. It's a great city to see. We did a food wine tour, which was amazing. The places she took us to in Venice, you would never see them because they were off in little corners. As a tourist, unless you know where you're going, you would never see these places. And the food and the wine was amazing. And then the next day, we also did a tour of Murano. So, because I love Murano glass. So it was interesting to see, once again, they're trying to keep that wine glass blowing alive. What they can do, it's a talent. It's a gift for sure because it's amazing.
Fantastic. So if someone's on the fence about this particular itinerary, and maybe they've even cruised the Mediterranean before. What do you think would be one reason you tell them that this Azamara voyage really stands out?
Immersion.
Right.
You're going to see things that on a big ship you may not see, or doing things, trying to do it on your own,
Yep.
you may not see, or you'll be tired. The places we went, the places we stopped, and the amount of time we had in each port, except for Argostoli, we had so much time in each port that we weren't rushed. We felt we could really see what we needed to see,
Yeah.
what we wanted to see.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and that makes all the difference. Like
It does.
on
It
on
really
these
does.
on these big ships, they're not going to get close to these places, and it's kind of like a drive-by stop in a
Yes,
lot of
exactly.
cases.
Yeah,
And that's the
exactly.
difference between the large ships and small ship cruising, which I think is a trend that is just continuing to grow.
I agree. I agree.
Well, Anne-Marie, fantastic insights as always. Thanks so much for joining us today. If folks wanted to reach out to you about possibly booking a Mediterranean cruise, how would they do that?
Well, they can go to my website, but it's love, LUV, the number two, CRUZ.ca. The telephone number is, I'll give you the 1-800.
Yep.
It's 1-800-535-9424. My email address is my name. So Anne Marie, ANN hyphen MARIE at love, which is spelled LUV, the number two, CRUZ.ca.
Perfect. I'll leave that contact information in the notes for people that might like to reach out. But as always,
Perfect.
Anne-Marie, since I like to live vicariously through the travels of all the wonderful people I meet on this channel, I have to know where you and Luke are off to next.
Well, Luke isn't coming with me the next time.
Okay.
He only comes with me now once every 2 years. So, but I'm actually leaving in a few days for a river cruise on AMA Waterways. I'm doing the Danube, Budapest to Vishoven. And then in February, I have my Caribbean group. And then next June, I'm very excited because I'm doing Norway. And I still have a few spots left. It's a 14-night Norway out of Southampton, and they're only doing this itinerary, I think, once, maybe twice. And it's a great itinerary. So June 6th of 2026.
Fantastic. I will leave that information as well in the description for folks that might like to have a look at that. It's been a while since we visited AMA Waterways on the Danube. We'll have to have you back to regale us with your adventures there when you're back. How does
Okay,
that
I'd
sound?
love to.
All right. Well, with that, Anne-Marie, I'm just going to wish you safe and happy travels on all your future cruises and destinations. May the wind always be at your back. And maybe someday soon, I hope to see you on the Lido deck of an Azamara ship.
Thank you.
Take care.
You take care.
And that about wraps it up for today, folks. A very special thanks to my guest, Anne-Marie Gaudet of Cruise Holidays Select. If you'd like to reach out to Anne-Marie, I will leave her contact information in the description. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can simply send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com or just drop a comment. We always respond. And as always, folks, if you enjoy this content, a like, subscribe, share, and a ring of the bell is certainly appreciated and helps other folks just like you to find our content. And if you really enjoyed this episode and would like to show a little extra love, we hope you'll consider becoming a channel member. It really helps us to keep on delivering the travel advice, expert interviews, and reviews you know and love. So until next time, folks, happy travels.